Here's a picture of the G.I. Joe classified COBRA Rattler. I got this picture from the Hasbro Pulse webpage for the HasLab for this Rattler, and it might look a little warped because I did a screenshot of the picture and then I had to stretch it out in order to fill up the screen here, so maybe it looks a little warped. But I was going to show pictures of the patches and Gunner and the Baroness as a pilot, but I just don't really care that much. It looks neat. I would certainly like to be able to get one. I could have bought one, but that's an awful lot of money for something that's really just not worth that much money. $325 for the Rattler and the Wild Weasel. And well, the deal got better as the other things were unlocked. Like the patches, however, I just think were a ridiculous addition. And I'm sure most people are just going to ignore patches because I don't think there's anybody in 2024 that really knows about patches anymore. I just don't see anybody bothering with patches at all. The only people that would know about patches would be people that were fans of G.I. Joe way back in the 1980s, and at the same time they were fans of G.I. Joe. There might have been Cub Scouts or Boy Scouts. Cub Scouts and Boy Scouts had patches. You know, they earned patches, so you know they might have enjoyed patches in the 80s, but people today I don't think are interested in patches at all. And actually the younger people probably don't even know what a patch is. So I didn't see the point in adding the patches, and considering that we probably all know that the patches are not all that useful for the people buying this thing, I have to wonder how good the quality of the patches actually is anyway. So maybe somebody actually will try to use it and then they'll find that the patch is just no good. We'll find out. It looks like we'll have to wait for more than a year for this thing to be delivered. The action figures, I think, are pretty nice. We certainly need the Wild Weasel pilot, and the Gunner is a nice addition. I think a totally new character. And then the Baroness as a pilot, so nice additions. However, this should have been in a retail store. $100 for the Rattler and the 3 action figures in a nice package. The benefit of putting this in a retail store at a reasonable price is the potential of getting new fans and new customers as more and more people realize that there is a G.I. Joe action figure line that has some nice vehicles. As it is, this thing was a HasLab, and the only people that know about it are people who are already fans of G.I. Joe. So, very extremely limited opportunity to get any new fans. Looks neat, but the price is much too high because it's much too limited. Here's a screenshot from the Hasbro Pulse webpage. This is a couple of seconds after the funding for this HasLab ended. I spent the last 40 minutes of this HasLab funding. I watched the last 40 minutes where it looked like at the bottom there we can see the number is 27,279. I think the number still went up a little bit more even after I took this screenshot after the funding closed. So it might be 27,300 something backers. And that's a pretty nice number. Pretty nice number considering how few people in the world actually know that this G.I. Joe classified COBRA Rattler even exists. And a pretty high number considering how expensive it is, but it's much too limited. So perhaps a lot of these people are spending money because they have a severe case of FOMO, F-O-M-O, fear of missing out. And they really shouldn't have that feeling. If these people had been more stubborn and refused to play Hasbro's games, they would not have gotten this Rattler. They would not have gotten the Dragonfly or the Hiss. Just tell Hasbro, send it to the retail stores. At the retail stores, at a much lower price and much higher volume, Hasbro would still make a huge profit, and also Hasbro would be gaining new fans and new customers to keep this line going for much longer. As it is, fewer and fewer people know about this action figure line, and even fewer care enough to even buy anything. So the long-term prospect is that the G.I. Joe classified line is going to come to an end. We don't know when exactly, but it's not growing. You're not getting any more fans by hiding stuff behind HasLabs that most of the world doesn't even know exist. And the fans who spent all this money on this, who knows what's going to happen next year? What's the next item that's going to be in a HasLab? Or if Hasbro is even going to have more HasLabs, maybe Hasbro will just give up on action figures altogether, because we've seen that Hasbro got rid of the Power Rangers Lightning Collection line. Hasbro owns Power Rangers. They licensed it out to another toy company called Playmates. Hasbro also got rid of their Dungeons & Dragons action figure lines. Hasbro owns Dungeons & Dragons, but they licensed those action figures out to another company called Super 7. And Hasbro gave up on, looks like they gave up on the Ghostbusters action figures and gave up on the Fortnite action figures. So Hasbro still has this G.I. Joe line, the Transformers toy line. They also currently still have Marvel Legends and Star Wars and maybe a couple other action figure lines that I forgot. But as of 2025, we'll see if Hasbro still has the Marvel Legends or Star Wars lines, because they might just give up on the license that they pay to Disney, because Disney has been spending a lot of time demolishing Star Wars and Marvel. So it looks like Hasbro is going to give up on action figures altogether. So people are spending an awful lot of money, and this is, who knows, maybe the last item, or maybe there will be one more next year. But that's a lot of money. There are actually cheaper and possibly even better alternatives. Like there is Valaverse that made a pretty nice vehicle that was about half the price, maybe a little more than half the price of what G.I. Joe's similarly sized vehicles are. Also, there's a Ramen Toys company that is making the similar sized vehicles that are about 1/3 of the price of what Hasbro has been charging for these G.I. Joe classified HasLabs. So I'm pretty disappointed with the people who are either suffering FOMO or just aren't thinking things clearly. This stuff would have been in retail stores, or Hasbro would have lost G.I. Joe altogether by not making anything. It could have been in retail stores where it would have been much cheaper, much more readily available, and possibly more fans who might enjoy the same thing. And more fans means more demand, and more demand means more product. More product means lower prices. People just haven't thought this through very clearly, and that's too bad for them. I didn't get this. I did not get the Dragonfly. I did not get the Hiss Tank. I'm not going to. I can't even get most of the G.I. Joe action figure line anyway, because most of it seems to be exclusives that are about impossible to get. So I have given up on the line, which is too bad because it looks really neat. Oh well. Thank you for listening to my rant this long. I appreciate that. Please like the video. Please leave a comment. Let me know what you think of Hasbro, the HasLab, the COBRA Rattler, and what the possible future is. I'd certainly be interested to know. And subscribe to my channel to keep up to date with my future commentary and raging rants, and most especially action figure reviews. I'll see you next time, action figure fans.